but when it comes to floodwaters can easily seep in and cause all kinds of damage to all your property, including cars, and causing some serious problems long after the water recedes.
And that damage could put your safety at risk. Our storm expert, Dr. Rick Knabb, shows us what to do before getting back in the driver's seat.
If your area has been flooded, you'll need to pay special attention to your vehicle.
Well, first thing is if you can get an idea of how flooded it was it just up to the wheels or was it halfway up the vehicle? And either way, you probably want to be careful before you just start it. So to get an idea of where the water damage is, you can usually see a dirt line along your vehicle. If it's really flooded high, I wouldn't even start it. I would just call a mechanic, have it towed there.
Even if you take these first steps, there could still be some hidden problems lurking inside.
You can use a wet vac and get it out of the carpeted area, but know that below the carpet is not padding like it is in your home. It's jute. It's compression of plastic and all kinds of other things. So what it does is the water stays there. And when you think you've air dried it out, you've left behind mold, mildew, potentially E. coli, because you got to remember, you don't know what's in the water. It could even be sewage water. It could be really dangerous for your health.
And there are lots of things that can go wrong with the mechanics.
What you don't see is regular saltwater, rainwater. If it sits in deep water, this is a brake line that's brand new. And this is one that's been sitting in salt water. And the damage means that your brakes don't work. Think about fuel lines. Get from the gas tank from the back to the front where your engine is. That's going to be a problem because it could potentially cause a fire. These are the kind of things that are plainly obvious, but what isn't is airbags not deploying if the water was up high enough, or anti-lock brake systems not working. All those safety features that are in play can stop at any time or not even function.
Ultimately, if you have concerns after your vehicle is flooded, it's best not to drive it. Have it checked by a certified ASE technician or your local qualified mechanic.
And coming up in our next hour, Lauren Fix will actually join us live to explain more about how to identify a car when it's been damaged in a flood before you potentially make that mistake buying a used car that's been damaged.
Like this luxury one in Southwest Florida. While this McLaren was a total loss, other vehicles experienced flooding, but not quite this severe. Quite troubling, though, to say the least. And it doesn't mean that there's not a lingering threat, Kelly, for drivers.
That's right. I mean, we still have issues out there, and in the wake of widespread flooding all across Florida and the Carolinas due to Hurricane Ian, Carfax now estimates that over 355,000 vehicles were damaged by floodwaters, and many of them could actually hit the used car market.
That's a lot of cars, that's a lot of vehicles, that's a lot of problems. We need some help, and we've got the perfect helper for us, our friend and yours. Lauren Fix, car coach, joins us this morning with how to avoid buying a flood-damaged car. And Lauren, what kind of damage can flooding cause to these vehicles?
Good morning, Reynolds and Kelly. So here's what's going on. All those flood-damaged cars, it's not just super expensive $1.3 million McLarens. It's also regular cars, everyday cars. And when you go to buy a used car, whether you need a used car anywhere across this country, you just look at the car and you drive it, you think it's a great car. But there are some major signs and reasons you want to avoid flood-damaged cars. The easiest ones are you open the car door and you see new carpeting in a newer car or new seat belts, or it has a lot of perfumed smell, like trying to spray to get rid of a mold and mildew type of thing, because that gets into the air ducts. And so you don't know that till you start owning the car for a while. And the biggest threat of flood-damaged cars to everybody is the fact that there's no warranty. So just like your computer, if you spilled water on it, and you took it back to the computer store, they'd say, you spilled water on it. This is good. This is pretty much junk. Well, that's exactly what with cars, because they are computers. There's hundreds of processors inside and tons of computers, chips, and so forth. We know about the chip shortage. So what ends up happening is that these vehicles find their way back on the road. Carfax has about 60% of the cars that were damaged, as well as VinCheck and other companies. And so what ends up happening is those cars that don't have coverage, they don't have flood damage insurance like you were talking about with people's homes, some car companies didn't offer it either, or people didn't buy it. Now you've got this problem with all these wrecked cars that hit the market. And you as a consumer should know a few things. One, there's no warranty. None. Not rust-through protection, not technical service bulletins, not recalls, and even worse, safety systems don't work when you need them in an accident. Airbag, active cruise control, all those little safety features, lane change departure, blind spot detection, all that great safety that keeps you safe on the road, that most of the time doesn't work, and the vehicle can stop at any time. Water and electrical do not like each other.
Yeah, it probably doesn't matter if it's seawater or, the rainfall water that we saw in Florida. But really quick, Lauren, only about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Do we have somebody inspect the car before we buy it?
Absolutely. You see a used vehicle and it's not being sold by a dealer. In other words, a Volkswagen at a Volkswagen dealer or a Ford at a Ford dealer. Ask to take it to an ASE certified technician. It's going to cost you about $200. It will save you thousands of dollars. And what they'll do is they'll actually go through the vehicle top to bottom, give you a full assessment. If they say it's flood damage, say thank you very much and walk away from that car because it's going to save you a lot of headache.
Such a wealth of information. Thanks so much, Car Coach Lauren Fix. Thank you again for joining us this morning. Great information on a very gloomy subject.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
tough.
sometimes you see a good deal, you think it's too good to be true. It might actually be too good to be true. So always check it out ahead of time.